All right. Welcome to FaBled Hunters.
I'm Yuanji.
I'm Saint.
And today we're going to look at some stuff.
Yeah, we're going to show you some stuff.
It's a continuation.
Yep, of solid liquid gas. I think last time we talked about liquid assets are raw cards, right?
Yeah.
Which are the easiest way to transact in the TCG game because ultimately it seems most product is opened and that's what's readily available on the market, right?
Yeah, and today we're going into, I think, your kind of expertise, graded cards.
Yes, that's my favorite space, my favorite segment of the market. And, you know, graded cards can be a source of revenue and profitability and upside gains, so to speak. But stonks, yes. It's also a really nice way to preserve cards, recognize their quality, recognize exceptional specimens, and just preserve and display. So there's multiple uses for graded cards, whereas, I mean, you know, raw cards, they're used to play with and to transact.
Yep.
But it all starts with the liquid assets, our raw cards, right?
Okay.
These are just raw dual lands. They just have randomly a small stack of raw dual lands.
Yeah.
They range from, I don't know, moderately played to near mint off center, you know? And like basically you've got these assets. These dual lands, I think, run from the plateau being the least valuable at something like 300 to 350 to the underground seas and volcanic islands being somewhere like $700 to $900.
Yep.
So yeah, you look at these cards and hey, I'll tell you up front, none of these are gradable. If these had the potential to be graded, they'd be graded already. They wouldn't just be sitting in these sleeves, you know, waiting to be traded or sold. But basically, you have to ask the question, like, what's next after you have a near mint card? And are all near mint cards created the same? And the answer is no. There are 4 subgrades. There's centering, there's corners, there's edges, and there's surface. And there happens to be a couple companies, BGS and PCG, that grade Magic cards. I mean, there are others that are much less significant as well, but they grade based on the 4 subgrades that characterize the quality and the condition of the cards.
Okay.
And I would say that after every set has a certain threshold, but after, call it like an 8.5, which is called near mint to mint condition, then cards start unlocking premiums if you're able to discover or if you're able to grade the right specimens of cards.
And then so I wanted to ask, like, what this kind of a premium entails. Like, what does the upside look like? Let's say if you were to grade these revised dual lands and they were to come back like a 9.5.
I would say revised because there's roughly, you know, an estimated 250,000 of the revised edition Badlands and 250,000 bayous, plateaus, savannas, you know, scrublands, etc.
Yeah.
The premium on duals is actually rather low on the 9 or 9.5 or quad relative to other vintage cards.
Sure.
Just because of the print run. There's a 250,000 of every revised dual land.
So it's different from...
It ranges.
Right.
The premium on, call it MTG Alpha, is much higher.
Sure.
Where, you know, like a 9.5 in some cases can be 5x or 10x or even 20x the value of a near mint raw specimen because of print quality, condition, scarcity. There's only 1,000 of every alpha rare, whereas there's 250,000 of every revised rare.
So if I was to rank, let's say, everything that you could possibly collect within the TCG space, would you say that like these kind of like very scarce collectible cards in like their highest like quality, is that like the highest tier of what you could be collecting?
I would say so. I would say that the reason why we call it solid liquid gas, solid is just like a very solid asset, kind of like a basket of goods, a mutual fund of TCGs, or like an ETF where you get the value of every single card in a set when you get a sealed box of that product. Whereas liquid is, these are individual assets, individual stonks, you can even call it, that has a market price, and you can trade it, you can liquidate it at whatever its spot price plus condition is at. Whereas gas is like, you know, gas expands. Gas is expansionary, you know, it can expand or contract based on the temperature. That's kind of like the market. We're filming early May, I think it's like May 10th or something.
Of 2022?
Yes, of 2022. And we're in the early days of what looks to be one of the ugliest financial markets ever.
Yeah.
And I mean, I made it through, well, we just made it through COVID where, you know, there's a flash crash in like 2 weeks. Our 2 weeks of crashing, I made it through the financial, the financial collapse, the Great Recession of 09. And that was really bad. And this is looking a little bit like 09. So that said, it's opportune for us to talk about the expansionary and contractionary qualities of graded slabs, gas. During these times, like right now, I would say that the slab market is probably at a 10-year low. Like nobody wants slabs right now.
Sure.
And yeah, there's going to be a premium, but let's just say like a 9.5 used to give you a 80% to 100% premium over its raw counterpart. The raw counterpart has gone down in value, so the slab is pegged to the raw price. Right? So like if, let's say an underground C used to be worth $1,000 and it just went down 20%. Now it's worth $800. So your slab has at least dropped by 20%. And I say at least.
Or more or less.
Well, at least because its base multiplier, its value based off of the initial card, has gone down minimum 20%. Now the premium of the card, where normally in a healthy market, maybe a 9.5 basic underground C would be plus 80 to 100%. That's dropped as well. Maybe people are looking to get out, and maybe they'll take a 40% premium. So a $1,000 underground C that could be sold for $2,000 on the open market in 9.5. Now, the base price is $800, and it's 40% above $800. So let's call it like $1,150 or something like that. So $2,000 underground C went down to $1,150. That's like a 37.5% decrease. Whereas the base underground C went down from $1,000 down to $800, a 20% decrease. Does that? Hopefully that makes sense to the viewers. Does that make sense to you guys?
Yeah, it makes sense. And I wanted to get back to this idea of monetization a little bit later, but you also had some graded versions of these revised lands to show. And so I wanted to kind of ask for the viewers to see like what the process was like in order to move from something like this, which is liquid, into what you're about to show us.
So I initially, really early on in Magic collecting, I got in right after the Bitcoin collapse of 2017. I started seeking after and grading duels. I bought over 50 complete sets of revised because revised was rather inexpensive at the time. And I accumulated, I graded, I amassed the dual lands. It's really funny that we're putting up these dual lands because recently my friends, the Unhinged Magi, Open Boosters Dan, plus Edwin the Magic Engineer, they were trashing, specifically, they made an episode to trash graded revised cards, and they said that the Underground C was worth only $3,000. Later on, I think enough people, the Pitchfork Brigade went up and complained and told them they didn't know what they were talking about. And they came out with an apology video. So, the reason why I bring up this is because this revised duels are probably the fundamental building block of graded Magic. There's more graded revised duels than any other graded card, meaning that each of these has between 600 to 1,000 graded BGS copies in the world. Now, out of the 250,000, sure, only 1,000 of each are a little less than 1,000 of each on average are graded. But I would argue that revised was so played since 1994 that people only graded the very top copies. So Edwin and Dan, they were saying like, oh, you know what? There are 10s just lying around in the boxes. back there.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's not the case. I'll be honest, I graded probably close to 100 of each.
Yeah.
And I've successfully graded Tropical Island. I've successfully graded Underground Sea in 10. I've successfully graded Taiga, Badlands,
Yeah.
and Plateau, and Savannah. But the rest I have not successfully graded in 10. As a matter of fact, only one tundra exists in the world. That's 10.
Yeah.
And 0 volcanic islands exist in 10 due to its horrendous and notorious centering. So, yeah.
So it's good that you mentioned this experience. So you went through, you said like about 100 of each.
Yeah, I've graded over 1,000 duels.
Yeah, so I actually did some research before we started filming to kind of see, for example, what the cost would be. And I think if you were to just like go on TCG Player and you were to buy like 10 copies even of all of the
near mint.
all like what's listed as near mint.
Yep.
You would be spending like up to like $800, let's say, for each volcanic island, $900
for each underground sea. Because it moves. The spot price after you buy a few copies is very sensitive because these are very in demand.
Yeah, and then when you grade, let's say you grade like 10 of these that you buy on TCG Player, how many like even like 9.5 like gold labels would you?
Honestly, you can grade 10 that are near mint, and I'll just say straight up, vintage cards, especially anywhere from 93 to like 98, you can buy 10 copies of near mint, and probably you'd be lucky to get one copy in 9.5 condition because near mint, first there's a centering issues.
Yeah.
Near mint, there's chips. There's corner damage,
right.
There's surface issues that you just can't see on TCG Player.
Yeah.
And let's call a spade. Half the time you buy something on TCG Player, it comes in less than ideal condition. Like everybody's got in their mind what they think near mint is, and then you buy $100 plus card and you get it from TCG Player, especially TCG Player Direct.
Yeah.
And it comes probably near mint light played. So to answer the question, you're getting less than 9.5.
Yeah. And I guess since like if it takes like you like 100, I wanted to then also ask to even get 10s, and then I'm sure like you didn't just like grade like 100 just like whatever that you pick. Like what is like the process that it took for you to even feel confident about sending like this many like revised like dual lands in to get to graded?
Okay, so I was always purchasing back in early 18, just purchasing a bunch of complete sets. I wanted to make sure that the complete sets are revised, that had all the rares, all the duels. What is it? I think 310 cards each. They came from a smoke-free, pet-free home. They were preserved very well. I got to at least see pictures and ask for additional pictures, and maybe after I got the person's contact, a video so I could look at the cards and say, hey, look, these came really well centered. At least, I can assess that maybe 3 to 4 out of the 10 duels were worthwhile, so that it would be worth my time to go in and grade the cards. And I did this process easily over 50 times because there was a point where I was literally sitting on 50 binders of MTG Revised. Yeah. So, the rest I had to buy piece by piece from collectors because out of, let's say, I think one of the highest pops or one of the higher pops are Underground Sea. Out of the 1,000 graded Underground Seas, there are only 5 10s. This is one of them. And I think there's like 4 tropical islands. Again, there's 1 tundra, there's 0 volcanics. Savannas, I forgot. Plateau, I think there's 5. But basically, the chance of even hitting, of selecting the top cards, of a card type, I probably only submit the top 10% in condition. Yeah. Meaning, like, out of 100, I'll submit 10. But I've submitted thousands because I've purchased, thousands of each card. And I've cycled it out. I've sold the near mint. I've, the non-eligible that I've purchased.
And these are not beat up copies.
Yeah, these aren't the worst. These are anywhere from near mint to moderately played. Yeah. But they come like this, and if there's no premium, I just have to cycle it out. Sure. And I also have to say that early days in the pandemic, or let's say spring of 2020, right now in Underground Sea, even after decline is $800, but it got as bad as Underground Seas were about $300. Plateaus got down to about $70 near mint.
That's
in
crazy.
the heart of the pandemic. It was crazy, and I literally purchased, I purchased hundreds of each copy of each duel. I had thousands of duels at the max because the buy lists were closed down. All the big, Card Kingdom, CFB, Star City just closed down their buy lists, and somebody other than Rudy had to be purchasing these. And I just personally love revised. By the way, speaking about pricing and scarcity, like these are 10s. Obviously, these are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 out of 10 duels are 10s, and their scarcity commands a certain premium. I would say that every single BGS 10 duel, because of there's like the 9.5 premium, then there's a quad, then there's quad plus, and then 10 basic. These 10s, due to their scarcity, have a premium of easily 10 to 15x, even right now. Whatever their base price is in your mint, these are 10 to 15 times the value.
Well, you said for some of these cards, there's only like single digit like copies in the world.
Exactly.
Right.
So there's a scarcity. Let's be honest. There's that whole vanity premium. There's people, collectors that simply want the best in the world.
Yeah.
And like, there's no black label Badlands. They don't exist. So this is tied for the best Badlands in the world. Same thing with the Bayou. Same thing with the Plateau. So that said, the worst faux pas in that video that my buddies did, the Magi, where they're like, oh, an Underground C is probably $3,000. It's like, guys, a quad Underground C is worth more than $3,000. Like a 9.5 quad, and there's, I don't know, 100, maybe not 100, maybe like 40, 50 quads out there. There's 5 BGS 10s, and I've personally even given an open offer out. It was first $20,000 and $30,000, then more. I'm ashamed of how high it's gotten and how desperate I've gotten. There's one BGS 10 quad black label Underground C, and that's worth mid 5 figures. And this Underground C, like I could put out an open offer for $10,000 and I would get 0 bites because of how few there are, and because they're in the hands of some really, really savvy collectors that don't intend on moving this is probably the most valuable and most iconic card in Revised Edition.
Oh yeah, definitely.
So it's the UC, right?
Yeah.
So what else?
I wanted to, so you said that out of all of the revised, you picked out the top 10%.
Yep.
But I think if anybody who's been on like these like Facebook forums and you have like everybody, the peanut gallery chiming in on what they think like certain cards are going to grade when people are trying to sell them or buy them.
Yeah.
You mentioned that you went through some, I think some Dominaria, some Ultimate Masters. Like there were steps for you to even be able to pick out like the top 10%.
Oh yeah. Really early on, late 17, early 18, before I got deep into grading, I had self-graded. I learned to look at cards and I said, what's the best card I could pick up right now? And I was looking at literally standard cards at the time, like Dominaria cards. I was looking at eventually Ultimate Masters cards. And I was like, whoa, Ultimate Masters has probably what I would say is the best print quality ever of any Magic set, because everything was purple core paper, laser etched, printed in Japan. And I mean, the grades tell it all. If you look in the POP report, the population report of BGS of Ultimate Masters, like 8% of the cards came out BGS 10 quad black label. And that's really, really high. And something like 15 to 17% came out BGS 10 of the box toppers that were printed. So I went through this process. I was like, hey, let's just pretend that there was a market for BGS 10 standard cards and BGS 10 modern cards. And I went through hundreds of hours after opening hundreds of boxes of product. Hundreds of hours, like, okay, there are 30 copies of Snapcaster Mage. I'm going to look at all 30 copies. And from 30 down to number 1, I'm going to stagger all of them by condition. And I'm going to pick out number 1. And I actually made 4 sets, like number 1 through 4 of every single card down to the commons. I made 4 sets. And then I was in this collector group, a pretty high-end group. I think it was called the Cabal. I was like, guys, I've got potential quads and tens of Ultimate Masters cards. And they're like, Saint, you're a complete idiot. Like, you're going to spend, what, $20,000 grading 300 cards?
Yeah.
And it's going to take months of your time, and nobody's going to want this garbage. And I was like, oh, that's actually, I thought I was doing something groundbreaking. I thought I was like,
you cracked the code.
I was off on my own. I went off the reservation. I was like, yes, I cracked the code. I figured it out. Everybody wants BGS 10 standard and modern cards.
Yeah.
But nobody. I was like, what about Dominaria? I did the same thing with Dominaria.
Yeah.
There was actually a couple other sets that I did it with. I'm not proud to talk about it, but it's the truth. You make a misstep.
If you held on to those Dominaria boxes, maybe you would have...
I would have made more money than if they came back BGS 10.
And that just goes to show you, like, there's a certain kind of, like, understanding of like who it is, of your audience. There's understanding of the market, and then also of all the different, like, products that you could, like, get into grading. It's not just like... I have like a funny story. So I when the pandemic started, I was really into Pokemon for a little bit.
Yeah.
And I remember, I think it was the Champions Path. I think was like the hot set. And in every single one of these like Champions Path ETB boxes, they give you like one like Charizard V promo.
Yep.
And people would be like grading these because I think the spot price for like a PSA 10 of these, whatever promos, like they're like, let's call it like $15-$20 promos.
Okay.
A PSA 10 were selling for I think up to like $150.
Oh wow. Okay.
Which that's like crazy.
It is crazy because back then PSA was charging $8 per bulk card or something like that, right?
Yeah. So I got like a lot of people thinking like, oh shit, like
I can 4x my money.
I cracked the code, just like buy all these like things, like grade them.
Yep.
And lo and behold, I think today, like on eBay sold, they're like $40, $50, and I think that just goes to show like it's grading isn't like it's not just like a guaranteed.
Yep. It's not
thing.
Guaranteed at all. It's very, very nuanced, and you need to know your market. You need to know who actually wants what cards. Like. Revised Duels, this is like the most vanilla graded, well, not these copies, but Revised Duels in 8.59, 9.5 basic, even the quads, that's the most basic building block of graded Magic. And I personally just wanted some of the best. And these are some of the best because these are in single digit populations, each of them.
Yeah.
But it's not the best set because we never show the best collection goods on camera anymore, because you gotta save some for yourself, save some for your own appreciation. Oh, that said, I just wanted to go back one more time to what the Magi were saying. They're saying a UC is worth only $3,000 during their video. I would argue that even a plateau is worth multiples of 3,000. Right now there's a plateau, one of the 5 plateaus listed on eBay for $12,000, our best offer, and I'd venture to guess that should transact between $7,000 to $10,000 based on how desperate the seller is.
Like if they want it.
Yeah, if they want, and that's the cheapest one.
Yeah.
Like I bought plateaus back in 18 and 19, and even 18 and 19 I think I paid $3,000 for one and $4,000 for the other. So that's before a whole Black Swan event and before a big price spike.
And then now you have some other.
Yeah, I do.
Labs.
I've got 8 of the Power 9, and I bring up Alpha because like everybody in that peanut gallery, everybody on Facebook, everybody on Reddit, they're like, oh, the only valuable cards are BGS 10s. And I'm like, yeah, you go out there and you go get a BGS 10 Alpha Black Lotus. Actually, there's one. I know the owner personally. You know, he's a very, very well off, very successful software CTO.
But he's not getting rid of it.
Yeah, he's not getting rid of it. I think there was an open offer for $7 million cash, and he's like, no. So this is the Ancestral Recall. In Baby Quad.
Yeah.
Hold on. What is it? 8.5 Quad Plus Time Walk. Oh no, it's just an 8.5 Quad Plus. I might need to upgrade that one. This is a Quad Plus.
Okay.
This does not belong. It's a BGS 9 basic time twister. I'm okay to downgrade this. So viewers, if anybody has a baby quad time twister, holler at your boy. FaBled Hunters at Gmail. Oh, obviously, let's not neglect the Black Lotus 8.5 Quad Plus Plus.
Yeah.
This is actually my first Alpha Black Lotus.
Oh.
I traded it away, silly me, back in 2019.
Yeah.
It was such a great trade, though. I think I had a European vendor offer me like 160K worth of cash plus trade, and I was like, whoa, that's a lot of upside for a Black Lotus that I got raw. I ended up paying dearly. I had ended up trading a BGS 9 basic plus plus, like multiple tiers higher to get this back because I missed it. This is my OG Lotus, my first. You never forget your first. You've got a Quad Plus Plus Mox Emerald, a Quad Plus Mox Jet, Quad Plus Plus Mox Ruby, Quad Plus Plus Sapphire. My Pearl's actually in the shop.
Okay.
It was a 9 Quad Plus, and I think it deserves between a 9 Quad Plus Plus and a 9.5 Basic. And the spread between a 9 Quad Plus and a 9.5 Basic, it's like a $12,000 or $15,000 spread.
Sure.
So I've submitted it twice. It came back 9 Basic Plus Plus once. It came back 9 Basic Plus 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 another time, so 0.5 from 9.5. And I'm just like, you know what? Because it's so much nicer than the 8.5. I secretly am hoping that Beckett screws it up and damages it and comes back 8.5 Quad Plus. I'm done with it.
Okay.
So I'm done with the set, and I still need to upgrade this. That said, these are all baby quads, baby quad doo 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 doo, baby quad doo 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 doo, baby quad doo 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 doo, baby quads. With the Black Lotus and the Mox Sapphire being number 1 and 2. That said, people are like, oh, well, why don't you go for 9.5? So why don't you go for better ones? And this is my philosophy, my mindset. I've possessed at one point 2 of the top 10 Black Lotuses in the world. I think one was they were both Quad Plus. So Quad Plus, 9.5 Quad Plus brings you into the top 10. However, the problem with having an asset that highly graded is that as you go into a certain range, the buyer pool, the potential buyer pool and collector pool, people that can afford that asset, drop so drastically that it kind of doesn't make sense. Like right now, I didn't get $1 million for it, but I believe there are 2 data points in the recent 12 months of 9.5 Quad Plus Black Lotuses. I believe one traded for 1.1 million, one for 1.3 million, and one for over 700,000. But I believe that was a cash deal. So there are 2 1+ million data points for Quad Black Lotuses. And I decided I don't need to lock up that much liquidity. I don't want to, in the future, limit my buyer pool to, call it 5 to 20 people.
Yeah.
Well, we're in a decline right now, but this Black Lotus, last I checked, was somewhere in the 150 to 180,000 range at 8.5. So worth significantly less.
Yeah.
Still worth a lot more than a raw Black Lotus, which is, I don't know, call it 60 to 100,000 near mint. So this still has a premium, but this at 6 figures, beginning 6 figures, 150 grand, I would venture to guess that 250 to 1,000 people in the world would consider buying it at one point if I ever needed to liquidate it. I hope to never need to liquidate it. I hope to just hold on to it, enjoy it, sing silly little children's songs, and piss off viewers. Piss off the wrong viewers. We're selecting here. Yeah. We're viewer selecting here. But I like having these assets in this range. This is probably the only 6-figure card. This is probably the second most valuable card in the, call it the 30 to 50 range.
Yeah.
And then everything else, time twisters, this 9 time twister is probably 30, 35, something like that. Everything else is in the teens to the 20s. And that's a good place. Like if I ever needed to liquidate, I have individual assets. People always ask, oh, if you have the Power 9, would it be, and they're graded, would there be a premium for gathering everything together? And the answer is always no. If you have a full set of something, just like you've got the 10 duels, the whole reason for them being graded is because they are self-standing individual assets. You probably don't want to sell off the Power 9 all at once, because somebody with whatever that number is, call it $250,000, 350,000 to pay for it, they would want a discount. They're like, hey, it's high enough of a dollar amount that I want to, I want to net a discount. Because I'm giving you 300K. Give me 10% off. Give me 315. I'm buying 350,000 worth of goods. Give me 315. I'm saving you from doing 9 separate transactions. That's how the market goes. There's actually not a premium for a complete set.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. I think oftentimes for people who don't actually transact with these high-end collectibles, you kind of get lost in like the headline. So it's like, oh, Logan Paul has this, whatever.
Oh, that's
Pikachu,
all marketing and BS.
$900,000. Or you see like, oh, like this Black Lotus is whatever, like $100,000 million.
And the last one traded, PSA 10 was like 500 grand plus, and that's a PSA 10. That's not even a quad.
But it's just that the purported like paper like value is not what you would actually transact on. There's a lot of different things that go into it. You have to find somebody, right, who wants to buy it, and then also there's you said that there's a lot of opportunity costs involved as well.
Oh, there are. Absolutely. There's so many costs. There's the cost of actually grading. And as of this past year, grading has been the most expensive it's been in 3 decades. Obviously, everything's going up, inflation, money machine go burr, all that stuff. But grading is, up to $250, $300 a card on the high end.
It used to cost like between $10 to like $20 per card.
Even $8 in bulk. But yeah, $10 to call it $25 a card. Even express grading, I think at one point was only $50. So it's gone up like 5x. Because even the cheapest grading at Beckett, I think you have to make an arrangement or ask for a special form. You have to have a rep and have some sort of representation. And even that is $50. Whereas I think back in the days it was $8. And before even I started, I think it was as low as $6 per slab. So it's gotten really crazy. Then there's the potential for damage. I made some videos that, I got some flack for, but it was the truth. There was a point where I submitted cards and close to 20% of my cards got scuffed up or damaged because of the bad job, the poor quality control that was happening at these grading facilities. Not only that, there's the time. Right now, the stuff that I submitted in late 2020, quarter 4 of 2020, is just coming back. 15 to 18 plus months after I submitted it. And, you're locking up assets, valuable assets that could have a liquidity value for over 1 year. It's like, God forbid, thank God I don't, knock on wood, I don't need liquidity from these assets, but I'm locking it up for 1 year plus in some cases, and the market can shift, right? There can be variance in the market. There is variance in the market. And also, you're locking up that money. Sometimes they're taking fees for the grading, 3 months to 6+ months in advance. They're locking up your money. They're locking up your asset. You're going to be waiting for a while. The asset can fluctuate. There can be a whole, economic shift right now, like we're experiencing right at this very moment.
Imagine you submit cards at the height. And now you're stuck waiting. Maybe you get them back after the next crash.
And they're worth half as much. So that even after a grading premium, you lose money. And you lost your grading money, right? So there's risk there. There's definitely risk there. But I would just say Magic, Pokemon, Flesh and Blood, Yu-Gi-Oh, MetaZoo, whatever card game you like, you want to pick the nicest cards. Ideally, you appreciate the cards for what they are. Like, I go through these cards. I try not to bust these guys specifically out all the time, but I love these cards. I love displaying them. I have no intention of selling them at anywhere near the market price they're at now. Although I do monetize MTG. These are kind of like my forever home, except for this pesky time twister. I'm trying to get I want to downgrade my time twister to a baby quad.
If anyone out there has one, maybe.
It's a 9 basic plus.
Get in touch.
It's not straight up. I'm not going to do a straight up trade. It's like not going to give away money, but looking to downgrade. Now that said, I wanted just to close. I'm talking about Flesh and Blood. right now, it's probably a great time to buy flesh and blood slabs, because when everything's dropping, when everybody's saying, oh no, the sky's falling, that's probably the best time to go into the market.
I feel like some of the prices right now are like kind of, it seems like a little bit off. Like you have like alpha cold foil legendaries that are like basically like the same as
a couple grand, maybe a little more. Like if the raw card is like 2,500, you could maybe get a 9.5 for like 3,000.
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
only 20% premium
like
for something. Obviously, the market's not tested. These cards came out of the box, but over time, there's gonna be a pickup. Just like even like an Ancestral Recall, even an 8.5 nowadays, this probably has a 50% plus premium over a near mint copy.
Yeah.
Because you don't know if it's gonna hit a silver label. Anything with metallic in the label is going to have a premium in alpha. Whereas if it was like a revised dual, it would have close to no pickup. You'd be lucky to get your grading fees back.
Yep.
So, going back to what I was going to show, I've shown a lot of the top slabs in Flesh and Blood in the world, and I mean, it's no mystery that I've graded plenty of the top slabs ever to come out of BGS. That said, I wanted to do something a little different. I wanted to open up the idea to the viewers of getting in really early. Like, these are 9.5s of Monarch, and this is probably the most hated set. But I've never shown this on camera before, so I'll just share with the viewers. These are 9.5s on Monarch. And
these are commons.
These are just common cold foils, yes.
Yep.
These, you could probably pick them up for, I don't know, $200-300, right? Right now.
Do you mean the slabs or
the slabs at 9.5? Yeah. I self-graded these. I probably paid $150 per slab.
Maybe even less, depending on.
Yeah, because these raw are under $100.
Yeah,
maybe $30, $30. Yeah. So hey, I spent $150 per slab. I went out there and I graded more than one Halo of Illumination, more than one Dreamweavers. I probably graded 5 of each.
Yeah. And
these might be the best copies that came back because of the print quality of Monarch. So somebody out there, their loss is your gain. You can buy a full gold set or individual slabs. I would say go one at a time.
Yeah.
Even me, I graded different waves, and the waves, because I went express service, took 2 to 4 weeks to come back.
Yeah.
But this is just the first 10. This is just one example of something you can collect. Just a couple $100 at a time. Go out there and pick up the commons. Okay, I guess there was only 13 commons, the first 10.
Yeah.
Plus these. These are all 9.5, and these are all the cold foils. A lot of people like to collect master sets, and I don't think the cold foil, grading the cold foils conflicts with the master set, because these are now all playable. This is all gear. This is all.
Oh yeah, definitely.
So a 9.5 basic or like a gold master set, you could grade all the cold foils, put them aside, and you could have a binder set of all the other cards, all the rainbow foils, everything else. So this will be the entire set. Let me see if I could fit it in. You got a Luminaris. These obviously cost more because the Majestics, the iconic cards, the legendaries from, the most used cards from the set are more of a Galaxy Black, just a sexy card in general.
Like the first alternate art.
Yeah, alternate art weapon, cold foil weapon. Dynamo's cool, Vestige is played, right? Footsteps, forget about it. We've got, some prison love in here. So, yeah, the Husk. And then finally, we've got, so here they are. Like these, in slab form, these are tournament legal. You could literally pull them out, put them to the side, and play them in their respective slots. I've got the last three legendaries, the Doomsday, the Eclipse, and the Great Library of Solana. Even right now, I think there's one on eBay for 2,500 OBO. Go lob a 2K offer out there. I have one. I'm good with one set of gold Monarch. These are all 9.5 basics in Monarch. They supplement my Monarch master set very, very well.
Yeah.
And, I just wanted something to relate to the viewers. Like this, all these cards cost probably less than 10K or around 10K, and you can just slowly accumulate piece by piece by piece. Even if you get like a 9 quad set or a 9 basic set, at least you're getting a graded set of the cards together. And this is not to say, I just said earlier when talking about Power 9 and duels, this is not to say that there's a premium. There is no premium for the whole set of gold. I have this set of gold, whatever this is, 20, 25 slabs, because I like it. And I think it presents well. It's not to say that, oh, if you collect every piece, it's going to be worth more.
The premium is for the collector, not for the seller.
Exactly. We get our own premium of display, of just catching them all, right? You got to catch them all. But the premium is actually built into every individual slab. That's the whole purpose of having a slab. This is already an asset that has a premium. The sum of all the parts, the whole, is not greater than the sum of the parts. If you ever break this up, go sell the library, go sell the individuals, maybe onesies, twosies to other people that need it, but collect because you like it. And right now, Monarch is probably at its all-time low, I'd say, since release, right? Down to sub $150 a box. Yep, Monarch is at its all-time low. I collected this. I've spent probably, each slab cost me $150, and right now you could probably save a lot of money just by scooping up whatever's available, especially in the commons on the market. You don't have to go through what I did, but I like the set. I believe that one day, way later down the line, it's going to be really difficult to find these cards in 9.5. It's probably going to be difficult to even find them in 9 quad, because the condition of these cards, the print quality, the centering, the surface, they weren't ideal. This is actually a really hard set to grade. So I encourage the viewers out there and the FaB fans out there to get your cards in 9.5. If you can do crew, if you can do arc, if you could do alpha, even better. If you got to do unlimited, do unlimited. Use maybe a slightly cheaper grading company, and yeah.
All right, I think that covers all the points that we wanted to make. Leave a comment on what you guys think of the series as a whole. If you think that there's anything that we might have missed, maybe we'll address it in a follow-up later.
Yeah. And I just remembered, oh my God, we're not ready for it today. I just remembered.
Yes.
We did have an opening component, but I think we'll have to make that a completely separate video.
Yep.
Hope you guys like, comment, subscribe, hit the notification button, and let us know if you learned something today. Thanks, everybody.